Jack it up.
Hurts keeps, Hurts cuts, Hurts has the first down, and Jalen Hurts might have just put it away for the Eagles. Touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey and the Sixers are going to win this game. Joel, tough turnaround in the lane. Another 30-10 performance for Joel Embiid.
Hurts connects with Devontae Smith.
Hello and welcome back to the 2 and 5 Scoop podcast. I'm here with my buddy Asher, and we're here today to talk some Sixers. This past weekend, the Sixers completed the sweep against the Brooklyn Nets in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Just a lot to talk about in this series. We weren't really too hyped about this. We were kind of expecting this series to end in 4 or 5 games, but there's just a lot of recent developments. Especially with Joel Embiid. So we want to get into that and then talk about some of the production that we've been seeing from the role players around Joel Embiid as well. But before we get into all that, Asher, how you doing?
Doing well. So at the time of recording, we have both just seen the end of that Heat game, Heat Bucks.
Yeah.
Crazy Jimmy Butler game.
Jimmy Butler, historic game for the Miami Heat.
In his post-game interview, he shouted out Joel Embiid as the MVP, by the way. Mm-hmm. So, Jimmy, after all these years of you leaving us, I forgive you.
Yes.
Thank you for that shout out.
Yeah, big shout out to him. But anyway, we might as well just get right straight into it. So looking at this series, there's definitely pluses, there's definitely some bright spots, some not so bright spots. Yeah. But we might as well start positive. Let's start positive today. I want to talk about some of the performance we saw throughout the series. James Harden in Game 1, Tyrese Maxey in Game 3, and then Tobias Harris coming up big in Game 4. Mm-hmm. Paul also had a little showing as well. So we've seen a lot. So what are your thoughts of the production from those three?
Really, really happy, and I think overall. Just the series confirms that this is the best built team for the playoffs that we've seen in the Joel Embiid era. Because you think back, and this is really the first time that they've taken care of business like they should have in the first round. They should have swept the series, and they did. But before, the Raptors last year when they almost came back from down 3-0, the Celtics, we got swept in the first round. The Nets, again, a few years back, I think they pushed us to 5 or 6.
Yep.
This is really the first time in the Joel Embiid era that the Sixers have gotten business done quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And we also can't do that we can't say that without noting that in Game 4 they didn't even have Joel Embiid.
Yes.
So I was kind of going into Game 4. I was watching that. I was like, I don't know if we're gonna close the series without Joel Embiid here. But again, the big question is with this kind of production from our role players, I think the Sixers could definitely be a serious threat. I kind of went into the playoffs thinking hey, they're probably going to get eliminated in the second round. Watching the production from Tobias Harris, seeing him come up big, especially him, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, they're kind of part of the big three that we have here. But Tobias Harris coming up big with 26 points in Game 4, kind of help really pushing this team, helping this team close out the series. So seeing that, it kind of made me feel better going into that Celtics series, now that we have some players that are willing to step up when Joel Embiid is down.
Yeah, and to kind of segue off of that, I wanted to kind of talk about the keys to the series that we had talked about in the previous pod, and kind of review those. Number one was survive the Joel-less minutes. And in this series, we had a lot more Joel-less minutes than we expected. He only played 56% of all minutes in the series. Obviously, a big chunk of that, or the big part of that, is due to missing Game 4. But I mean, they won Game 4 without him. The defense was actually better without him, which I don't think it's a small sample because it's only 4 games. Right. I don't think that's actually accurate that we're better defensively without Embiid, and we were significantly worse offensively. But I mean, I think it's important that this team treaded water without him. That's all they really need.
They didn't completely plummet like they have in the past.
Exactly. And Paul, the game, watching the game is a little messy when he's in there. but he gets the job done on defense. I mean, and if either Harden or Maxey's out there when he's out there, the offense is decent.
Yeah, I mean, it's sufficient, and that's really all we need. That's the biggest difference because, again, last year I think what really hurt us was especially when Joel went down with the injury at the end of the Raptors series. That second series against
Miami.
Yeah, we did play Miami. The second series against Miami, I mean, it was kind of like we hung in there for a little while, and then again, that just at the end we just fizzled out because Joel Embiid was just beat up, couldn't play that much, and there just wasn't enough going on around Joel Embiid to kind of help the team. It was kind of just Joel when he was in, we were really good, and then again, like you said, we just tanked as soon as he was out of play.
Yeah,
so
well,
definitely positive. Definitely
game
positive.
one of that series, we started DeAndre Jordan, didn't we?
Yeah, yep, I remember
So,
that. I was ranting about. We were all hoping for B-ball Paul, but Doc Rivers was adamant, very, very adamant about keeping DeAndre Jordan in there, which is
and that didn't
completely
work out so
outrageous
well.
to me because he's just out there running. He was just out there running.
Barely
It's
running.
different this year. I'm really glad that Doc Rivers has kind of given in to some of the B-ball Paul hype, giving him solid minutes, which is really good. And I kind of want to talk about this. Kind of like relates to the next point I wanted to get to. Which was the concerns with Joel Embiid. This was definitely not his best this series in terms of how he played, especially in Game 3. I want to note that he was really sloppy in Game 3. I bet you he was starting to deal with that knee injury, but even then, he was just falling down a lot. He's just flopping. There were so many plays in Game 3 specifically where I saw a defender just brush up against him, and I mean, this guy's 7'1" and 300 pounds, and he just falls over. He just kept on falling over. I think he fell like 16 times. He hit the floor like 16 times in the first quarter.
Did
I
you
believe.
count?
Yeah. I was I mean, I was literally I was working at Chick-fil-A while I was watching it, so I was literally counting nuggets at the same time as counting him falling on the floor. So yeah, he fell like 16 times in the first quarter, which is absolutely outrageous, especially when we're talking about the MVP here, and the key player to this team. And with all that, he injured his knee, and Doc said after Game 4 that there's a 50% chance that he's good to go for the start of the Eastern Conference semifinals, whether we play the Hawks or the Celtics. Likely the Celtics at some point. I believe Game 5 of that series is tomorrow night.
Yep, and the Celtics lead 3-1. So most likely going to be the Celtics in the next round, like 99% chance.
Yeah. So with the news of the Joel Embiid injury, for me, I'm getting a lot of deja vu. It's just like the last 2 years all over again. Like I mentioned earlier, goes down with an injury at the end of the first series. He's going to have to fight through it in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The only difference this year is, as we noted just a few minutes ago, is that he actually has role players, and we're actually able to sustain decent play without him in there. But anyway, looking at the Joel injury, how are you feeling about the Sixers' chances at like a deep playoff run? And what I mean by that is just winning the next round against the Celtics.
I mean, I'm feeling better than I was before, but also just watching the Celtics series, they didn't sweep and we did, but Atlanta is a much tougher opponent in the playoffs than the Nets are with the way their roster is currently constructed.
Exactly.
I think just watching the last game, it was in Atlanta, and they held Trae Young to like pretty egregious shooting percentage. It just really didn't give the Hawks a chance.
30-something% from the field or something.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I tuned in, he was like 6 for 21 or something like that. I watched the end of that game, and the Hawks were turning the ball over a bunch at the end. I mean, the Celtics are really, really tough to beat. We're gonna need a 100% Joel Embiid. Like, you go into that game 1 without Embiid in Boston, just chalk it up as a loss already.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling good. I'm kind of angry about the Joel Embiid thing. I'm pissed off at him, to be frank, because he's fallen over. Can't be doing that. I bet you that's how he sprained his knee, because he just falls over all the time, and just tries to do this ridiculous point guard stuff as a 7'1" center. I get that's what makes him special, but sometimes I think he goes too far. He goes too far with it. So listen, here's what I'm going to give you a straight up prediction of what's going to happen if the Sixers lose in the second round and against the Celtics. Here's what's going to happen. Sixers going to face the Celtics in the next round. They're going to make it. Joel Embiid might not play game 1, possibly game 2. They'll probably lose both of those. They might fight back at home, games 3 and 4, tie it up at 2 maybe. And then after that, the Celtics will probably sweep at home. Maybe the Sixers will steal 1, but Celtics are going to win that series. As it stands right now, in my opinion, they're going to win that game in 6. They're going to win that series in 6 games, maybe 7. And then after that, Sixers season's over. And I think it's a full overhaul in Philadelphia. I think we go full rebuild. I don't know. I saw rumors of possibly Damian Lillard, but that's been a rumor for the past 3 years and it's never came to fruition. So I don't imagine it changing this year. So James Harden's going to leave in free agency. I imagine the Sixers might even deal Joel Embiid. I see Joel Embiid. If he goes anywhere, I think he's going to go to a team like the Hawks. I think he can go there and he would thrive with Trae Young. And I think they would become definitely one of the best teams in the East if that were to happen. But yeah, if the Sixers lose the next round, full overhaul, firing Doc Rivers, no more James Harden. Really, the team's going to be going to start building the team around Tyrese Maxey. That's what's going to happen. That's my opinion. I think this is the final straw.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for sure if they lose a series, Harden walks. I don't know how the front offices would deal with trading Embiid because I feel like he is obviously the face of this franchise. He has been for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can only lose in the second round so many times before you have to break things apart.
Well, honestly, I could see Joel Embiid just getting flustered with it. I mean, it's kind of his fault for not staying healthy.
Yeah.
It's kind of his fault for not staying healthy, but at the same time, some of these injuries just simply have been bad luck.
Yeah.
I would blame this year's injury on him. Past couple of years, though, not so much. But anyway, that's where I'm thinking it's going to happen. I'm excited, but bummed at the same time. It's such a, I guess, underwhelming feeling considering we just swept the Nets and we had this rivalry with them for the past year or so because of the Ben Simmons stuff. And it's just everything's so anticlimactic at this point. We're back in the second round for the third straight season. I think the third time, and I think it's the fourth time in the past 5 years we're in the second round again. Maybe 5 in the past 6. So it's kind of we're here again. I feel like I'm taking it for granted, judging by the fact that 7 years ago we were bottom of the barrel, terrible team.
Yeah.
So it's I feel like I'm taking it for granted, but we've been here so many times. It's I'm excited because things are a little bit different, but at the same time, things aren't any different at all. And it could very well just be the same scenario over again.
It's it reminds me a little bit of the LeBronto era Toronto Raptors, where they made the second round of the Eastern Conference Finals 4 or 5 years in a row. They kept losing to LeBron. Mm-hmm. I mean, if this Sixers team just keeps running into the Boston Celtics and keeps losing, then at some point you just have to throw up your hands and say the Celtics are better than us right now. We have to, reload, rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean I don't think that we would do a Toronto thing and get Kawhi Leonard and win a championship. I don't really think that's on the table.
No, I don't imagine being on the table. I mean, unless I think really, I don't want. This seems a very sad episode.
Yeah, I know. It feels like we already lost.
we just swept the Nets, but right now we're staring in the face of the Boston Celtics, and we have an injured Joel Embiid. So with those two factors, it's not looking great. Again, still excited, but I'm excited with a lot of caution.
Yeah,
a lot of caution.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. But anyway, shall we dive into other series in the NBA and how those are playing out? Taking a look at the bracket.
Yeah. Real quick, while you pull that up, let me just our second point last week or whenever we did the last podcast.
Last week. It came out late last week.
Right. Okay. So yeah, last week we said defend the 3. So we held the Nets to 32% from 3, whereas they have shot 37% across the regular season. So, really well done there by their defense. They also out-rebounded I think they doubled the Nets' output on the offensive glass.
Mm-hmm.
So just destroying them on the glass there. A lot of that is thanks to Paul Reed. I think Tobias Harris had a couple big rebounding games as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So again, there is a lot of reasons to be wary of this series with the Celtics, but the supporting cast is better than any we have seen before.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing, to end this on a positive note, honestly, you look at I made this point at the beginning of the season, as the Sixers were trying to build their roster for this year. A lot of the recent NBA champions had one or two superstars at most, and the rest were just supporting cast players that kind of showed up when they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And to add a little positive twist, that's what the Sixers have going right now. They got Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid kind of taking turns having hell of a games. James Harden in there as well. But then you got guys like Tobias Harris and Paul Reed who kind of and kind of show up when they really need to. They kind of come up clutch. Hopefully Tobias Harris can continue this. He's very hot and cold as far as when he performs and doesn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, if this can keep up, I still think that the Sixers have a serious shot. It's just a matter of keeping up that next man up mentality. Just show up. You might not have your MVP, but better go play your ass off. Otherwise, you're not going to have a chance against the Boston Celtics. But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know how you're feeling. I'm just kind of numb. Like I don't feel anything.
I would say I'm cautiously pessimistic at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we end it off, we might as well just go through and kind of look at the rest of the playoffs. As we just witnessed, the Heat took a surprising 3-1 lead over the top-seeded Bucks. Going back to our predictions, who did you have winning that series? I believe you had the Bucks in 6.
I think we both did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. Jimmy Butler, gotta give a shout out to him. I mean,
playoff Jimmy is crazy.
But the Heat, that just blows my mind. The Bucks are not going to be in it. Those were the two big names I was looking at. If we make it to the conference finals, I mean, right now, if the Sixers can get through the Celtics, we're looking at probably the Heat in the conference finals. Now, granted, they're going to be a very hot team. They got Jimmy Butler on that team. I like those odds. I think really right now, the Sixers' path to the finals, literally just the Boston Celtics. Not going to count out the Heat by any means, but that's a much better matchup than facing a team like the Bucks.
Yeah, agreed.
Next going, might as well briefly go through the rest of it. Cavs, Knicks. Knicks currently lead 3-1. I'm pretty disappointed. I like the Cavs this year. They're a young and upcoming team last year. I thought they were going to kind of follow through this year. Kind of falling straight on their faces again. Knicks are what? They're on their way to the first playoff series win in how many years? I believe this is a historic playoff
10
win.
years. I think the last time they went was when they had Melo.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's been so long. And then obviously Celtics Hawks. We just went through that. They have the game 5 is tomorrow. And now going into the West, Nuggets.
Just
kind of expected it. They're up 3-1 against the Timberwolves. They're well on their way to the second round, but I don't imagine them making any further than that. They're slated to currently most likely face the Suns, who are up 3-1 against the Clippers. The Clippers again, just brutal. Imagine being a Clippers fan. We're Sixers fans. The Clippers are basically the Western Conference version of the Sixers at this point. They have all these star players. They have all this talent. They have all these expectations, but they always just fall straight on their faces. Except they can't make it past the first round for some reason.
And Kawhi Leonard is out for game 5. So, you think all those injuries Embiid goes through in the playoffs is bad. They have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George being out like every game. So, it's got to be like infinitely more.
I can't imagine what it's like being a Clippers fan. I mean, at that point, just be a Lakers fan. Just root for LeBron. He's at the tail end of his career. Just ride it out with him. They have a better shot of doing anything this year. So next we got the Warriors. Interesting series there. I mean, I'm not necessarily surprised. They were down 2-0. They just notched it up last night. At 2-2. So I mean, I'm not surprised because it is the Warriors. They're much more experienced than the Kings. But man, I'm really pulling for the Kings there.
Well, I feel like the Kings are going to win now because I don't think the Warriors can win away, and I don't think the Kings can win away. So it's probably going to go Kings, Warriors, and then Game 7 in Sacramento, and the Kings take it.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. If it goes to Game 7, even though the Warriors struggle on the road, you've got Steph Curry.
It's true.
You know, you can't. I mean, I don't know. Like, I trust Steph Curry to come up more clutch than De'Aaron Fox because Steph Curry's been there so many times, and I think if it does get pushed to a Game 7, I think the Warriors pull it out. I think the Warriors win in a 7 at this point. Next is the Grizzlies-Lakers. They're currently playing right now. I don't know what the score is. Do you have a score check for me? They're playing right now as we're recording.
The Lakers currently lead that series 3-1, and they currently are winning the game 33-25.
Yeah, no, it's actually a 2-1 series lead.
2-1 series. Okay, this is game 4. Okay, right.
So
we're looking to take the series at 3-1.
So basically looking to take it. They're leading right now as we speak, right?
Yep. They're up by 8, 33-25.
And that series probably has the most unique storyline in the entire playoffs. Dylan Brooks just keeps on running his mouth. Like, what's up with that guy? Like, I don't know. What has he done? Like,
I don't know if they released all defense teams yet, but he is probably going to make all defense. But I mean, it's kind of just like a less talented version of Draymond Green.
Literally, like just probably like Draymond Green, but you buy him on Wish.
Yeah, like at least Draymond's won a championship, so like I feel like he can talk a little shit.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I get Brooks, it.
You suck.
Like, exactly, dude. Like, at least Draymond has done something with his career. He's won a Defensive Player of the Year, you know? So, like, I just don't get how he has the nerve I mean, I'm not a fan of LeBron. I don't like LeBron. But I'm defending LeBron here because Dylan Brooks, what he said, get out of here, you're old, or something like that.
Yeah,
like, I don't know how you
he wished he faced a younger LeBron. He was like, this isn't a challenge. I wanted the one that played in Miami.
Yeah, and then guess what happened the next game? Wasn't it 35-9 after the first quarter? The Grizzlies couldn't even score 10 points in the first quarter. How embarrassing is that? That's nuts. But yeah, so looking at that series, I'm really hoping the Lakers pull that out. But again, Lakers Warriors in the second round. You've been calling for that all.
That would be a lot of fun.
Now. That'd be awesome to see, and then we could see some serious. Dude, I'm excited for the Western Conference. Honestly, it's so unpredictable.
Yeah,
I still have the Suns coming out of the West, but definitely a lot to look forward to. So we got a lot of playoff basketball. Sixers, right now, I believe they'd be slated to start the second round towards the end of this week. I believe the first game is on the 28th or 29th.
Okay.
So assuming the Celtics win tomorrow. So we got that. We'll be coming out with a Eagles episode. We got a draft preview to do. We got to talk about the Jalen Hurts extension. A lot to get into. But all that being said, that'll wrap us up here at 2 and 5 Scoop with a late night recording session. Thanks, Asher, for coming on. And yeah, make sure to follow us, subscribe. We just hit 1,000 subscribers about a month ago here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for the support. Continue doing that. Hit the notification bell. Follow us on the social media. You know what to do. And yeah, that should do it for us. Let's go Sixers.